We're going to talk about sex in hostels. So before we start,
we're getting started.
You need to give me a safe word in case you need me to stop recording.
Oh, is that a thing?
It is now.
Bread. That's generally my safe word.
Is it?
This is If a Hostel Could Talk. My name is Gosiewski, and yes, the subject today is sex.
Secrets out.
Okay, so sex in hostels.
It's a weird place to do it.
It is.
It's not usually a good idea.
It's
until it is.
I think you have to be, well, myself personally, be very, very drunk to not care that there are a lot of other people, especially if you're in a bunk bed and you're on like the top or the bottom and somebody else, the complete strangers on one of the other bunks. That's a bit awkward.
It's funny because it happens a lot, and I guess it's sort of, you make do with what's available, but yeah, the amount of dorms I've been in where it's been happening around me and I'm like, you're terrible people. And then I've also inflicted it upon people. Twice. I did twice. Ill-advised. There was alcohol involved.
Yeah. Okay, so what was your experience of that? Was it awkward? Did you was it your hostel? Was it where you were staying?
Yeah. Oh God, why am I talking about this?
Because it's sex is such a big thing for everybody. So
it's just funny because it's like when that's one of the fun things about travel, which is bad to say, but like you meet like all these fun people and then you have a great time and then it's like you're a bunker mine. And then I've done a few times. I've done the whole you meet someone and you're like, okay, we got to go get a private room. Like next day we'll go travel somewhere else. We'll get to the next hostel. A lot of hostels have private rooms, so I've done that a few times, and that's like the normal grown up, horrific thing to do. But I have had to stumble home, right up in a bed, and you convince yourself like nobody can hear.
Yeah.
And then, but it's never going to be good sex because good sex, I think by definition, is you're like letting loose and you're loud and you're not inhibited by a lot of things. When if you're trying to sneak under a cover in a tiny single bed.
Today's guests have decided to remain anonymous, and quite frankly, I don't blame them. I don't even know why I'm having this conversation on such a public platform myself. But you know what? Sex in hostels. Sex is something that we all love sex. It's something that we all need in life, and when you're travelling, it's no exception. So screw it, quite literally. We need to have this conversation.
What about sex in bathrooms in hostels? I mean, what's your thoughts on that? Because I mean, I know even just sex in a standard shower at home is never like the movies. I've drowned nearly a few times, definitely. So it's definitely a more private place that you can go in a hostel. Again, you're monopolising the bathroom, but is that more appropriate to sneak off and close the bathroom door than to do it in a bunk bed?
It definitely happens, and I think probably more than dorm rooms. I personally couldn't do it though. I remember getting an invitation once and thinking that was the least appealing thing in the world to me. Just something about like being in a bathroom, and even if it was my meticulously clean bathroom at home, like I don't think I would want it. I've never done that, so I just remember thinking I am not interested in this proposition. I'd much rather, I don't know, anything but that really. But I do think it happens, and I do see the appeal. And if you can pull it off, more power to you. I don't know really. Chloe, have you had sex in a hostel bathroom? I feel like you have a story here.
No, I actually haven't, but I was waiting for the bathroom for such a long time once, and two people did come out looking all kind of shady and like trying not to make eye contact with me. Otherwise, before that point, I probably wouldn't have even thought of it.
What did you do? Did you just give them a look, or did you shake your head at them, or just sort of let them move along? That's really funny.
So, I just gave him this really big awkward smile. Probably made him feel like way more uncomfortable, but no, I didn't say anything about it. But it's just that look you give someone when they come out. It's like, I know what you've been doing.
You should have been like, 45 seconds, go you, well done.
Rally up everybody in the hostel and be like, yo, come on, wait. I'll give them a big round of applause when they walk out. Oh my God. My next time that happens, I'm 100% doing that.
I thought about it. I remember thinking about it very, very seriously because I had met this guy on the beach and we were having this really like hot and heavy makeout session and I was raring to go, but we just didn't have a place to go and he was very like bathroom. And I honestly, Chloe, if only, like I just couldn't wrap my head around it. So I remember I sat there in the hallway just being, you know, really running it over in my head like crazy, just trying to like, and I just couldn't make myself do it. The guy was furious actually, and he kind of like stormed off, and I was like, no. So I guess maybe that was a good sign. I mean, obviously it was a good sign.
I think maybe we need to get a man's perspective on this as well. I think that might widen the horizons on it a little bit more if we had a guy's opinion on sex in hostels and hostel bathrooms.
Yeah, no, I think that's true. We do need a guy's perspective because it's like a bit like peeing, right? Like men can just whip it out and sort of pee anywhere. Men can kind of fuck everywhere. With women, it's a bit more complicated. We need to be more comfortable. We need a bit more privacy. There's all these different considerations that are involved. Is that maybe a weird comparison? But I think it's more involved for us. I think they're happy to do it. God, just anywhere. The animals.
Okay, we're going to take this to the next level. I'm going to find a man to join in on this and give their side.
So after chatting with my fellow female about this, it became apparent that we do need to have a guy's input as well. After all, we've got to make it fair, right? Hear both sides of the story. So I put some feelers out on social media to see if I could find myself a guy who was willing to join in the conversation, and hurrah, I found him.
I've had sex in a hostel dorm quite a few times. To be honest, normally, as it kind of got more and more, I'd normally start having sex in the bathroom instead, just because it's a little bit more private than the dorm. I mean, some cases, you're in a dorm room with like 30 odd other people, something like that. I don't think there's anything bad with it, unless, somebody's like a screamer or something like that, waking up the rest of the room. In that case, I think, it's a little bit too far. But yeah, I've been in the dorm whilst other people are having sex as well. It's just kind of one of those things that happens, I guess. Like, everyone's backpacking, everyone's traveling, so everyone's in the same mind frame. It could be one person one day and it could be you the next day. So yeah, I don't really think there's anything wrong with it.
Have you ever had anybody in the hostel who you don't know but has been kind of awkward with you the next day? So like somebody who's sharing your room that you don't really know and they've been a bit like giving you odd looks and stuff? Or have you ever been in the bathroom and then somebody has been waiting to use the bathroom while you've been in there, and then you've come out and you've had to face them when you come out? Has that ever happened to you?
Yeah, especially being in bathrooms as well. If there's 30 people in there and you're in there as well, there's going to be people that are knocking, people that are like, you've been in there for 40 minutes, when are you coming out? And then you'll come out and there'll be a big line of people and then everyone will be like, that's why they were taking so long.
40 minutes in a bathroom? Wow, you guys are living the dream.
I don't think anyone's ever been like really shunned it or like being really bad against it. It's normally groups of girls or older people that do have an issue with it. But somebody's come up to me once whilst doing the deed and they've said, can you be a bit more quiet please? Other times, I remember I was in North Thailand at one point and we were in this dorm room. There was 8 people in there, me and the girl, and we came back really stupid o'clock in the morning, started doing it and woke everyone up in the dorm room, and they just left and went downstairs into reception because they couldn't hack it.
Oh, some people pay good money to see a live sex show in Amsterdam, so I don't know why they left. They could have got it for free. I noticed a few differences between my female and male guests today, who were discussing their experiences and their thoughts on sex in a hostel. So I kind of wanted to know a little bit more and dig a little bit deeper.
Do you find a lot of the women you meet travelling are okay and quite chilled about having sex in a hostel? Because I know for myself and a lot of other women that I've spoken to, we kind of feel somewhat precious about where we have sex, and privacy is kind of a big deal for us. We'd have to be like really drunk and relaxed to even entertain the idea. So, I mean, what's your experience of, other women that you've met? Do you find that they have been, more on the side where we're like, I don't know if it's a good idea? Or do you find that you've kind of met a lot of women that are really open to the idea and, probably initiate it more than the guys?
Well, I think it's all about the environment, and when you're traveling so much, and kind of when you're in these countries, you just get so used to just everything is so blasé, and everyone's just so open about everything. I mean, a lot of people travel like on their own, so you can jump from place to place, country to country, and never know anybody that's there. So yeah, I don't think there's a big difference between women and guys when it comes to that. I mean, there's been a couple times where, I've gone out and I've met a girl and I've liked her, and then we've gone back to a different hostel and rented out a room of our own, just because sometimes you do want that privacy. I remember I was in Vietnam one time and I met this girl from the States on a night out, and then it was just me and I think it was 7 American lads in my room, but I knew them all, so I spoke to them all before. We were all out on this big pub crawl, and I spoke to them and I just said, "Oh, look lads, do you mind if I just take the room for like an hour?" And they're like, yeah, you go ahead. So it happens, but yeah, I think when you're traveling, it's just everyone's in the same mind frame, and it's like, yeah, whatever goes. It's like just not a big deal or thought about in that way.
Have you got a really outrageous and wild sex in a hostel story?
The good story is, so I went to Copenhagen and I was there for the full moon party. Like, I'm not sure if you know what it is or if you've been before, but basically you go on this big night out, you go to the beach, the whole beach is absolutely packed. Everyone basically strips down to their underwear and gets covered in like UV paint. All I remember is just being on the beach. I was drinking from, everyone drinks buckets over in Thailand, and I was drinking a couple buckets, and then next thing I remember, I just woke up in a dorm room that wasn't mine, covered in UV paint. There was UV paint all over the walls. And this girl that I was with was like shaking me, like, you need to get up, you're missing your bus, And I was like, what the fuck is going on? And then I looked around, realised that it was the dorm room that is next to mine that's meant to be just for girls, and there was UV paint all over the walls, where I'd been, like, basically she'd been, like, putting her hands on me, and then I've been putting her against the walls, so there's all these UV handprints all over the walls and all over the room. And then I jump up, get into my room, get changed, put all my clothes on, everything, and I'm still covered in this UV paint, get onto the bus, and I still had the condom on whilst I was on the bus as well. Yeah, so it was, it's a weird one. To make it even worse as well, I've seen the girls that, like, share the room with the girl that I slept with, I've seen them in the next place that I went to as well, so that was a bit of an awkward one.
Are we terrible human beings for having sex in a hostel when there are other people around? I mean, it's like we're one step closer to being a porn star.
I've only had the one experience of it. And I did say, because I was those 2 girls in my dorm that I had been quite sort of chatty with, and she was on the bunk above me, and I did say to her the next day, oh, like, I'm so sorry if you heard anything. She was like, oh, no, I didn't. I don't know if she was just being polite. She didn't say, she was like, no, I didn't hear anything. And I thought, did I get away with that? I mean, or is she just a heavy sleeper and everybody else heard? But, there's no point worrying about it. I checked out not long, a day after that anyway.
Where was that?
That was in San Juan del Sur in
Of
Nicaragua.
course. That's where I did it too. Yes, it is. It is. Oh my god, it is.
Do you know what it is? It's bar crawls. Yeah. The Canadian bar crawls.
Yeah. Oh my god.
And The Sunday fun day.
That was what it was.
That's what,
You know what? I no longer feel bad about this.
It's not cool if you are up early for a flight or a bus and you're trying to get some sleep and someone's going at it on the bunk next to you or even above you or below you. It's not cool. But you know what? It's all part of the trip. It's all part of the adventure. And, you know, to experience part of that is, you know, for some of us it's not great, but it does happen. And it shouldn't ruin your trip in any way. And I think something that has been brought up in this episode is, you know, a lot of people do tend to be in the same frame of mind and quite chilled out and relaxed about it. So if you do ever go away and you're in a hostel and it's happening around you, just remember that, you know, it happens. People want to get laid and there's nothing you can actually do about it apart from go and sit in reception. Thank you so much to my anonymous guests for sharing their stories of sex in hostels with me in today's episode. If a Hostel Could Talk is all about sharing real stories from real people who have been travelling. If you'd like to know more about me, you can follow me on Instagram at One Way Journey Travel. I've also got a Facebook page which is One Way Journey by Chloe Gosiewski, or visit my website which is www.onewayjourney.com.